a publisher, Nairobi Law Monthly, you know it, he's the man. And then a TV media mogul as well, Al Noor Media. He owns it. It hasn't been switched off. How come? That's because he's the Grand Mullah. That's why. Ahmednassir Abdullahi. His Twitter handle is @Ahmednassir Law. Mine is @Koinanga Jeff. Of course, @Citizen TV Kenya with the hashtag JKL Live. Grand Mullah, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How come you weren't switched off?
I think there's no reason to switch us off. We are law-abiding television. we play by the rules.
Yeah.
So there's no reason. We haven't broken any law. I don't know why those who were switched off, But
you must know why.
No, we don't know.
Okay, Monica, there's a tweet the Grand Mullah put about TV stations and freedom, right? Do you have that? Do you have that, guys? Someone has it there. He said something very profound about TV stations and media freedoms and our new not being shut down. Do you have that? Okay, if not, that you did tweet something about it.
Yes. I mean, you know, my view is that press freedom is not negotiable. I mean, it's such a fundamental right that the press must at all times be free. And the idea of switching off televisions for one reason or another is too draconian to be justified.
Yes. So why, Grand Mullah? Why now?
I mean, we don't know the reasons. But
okay.
I mean, it can't be just because you are airing certain events live.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something we don't know.
Maybe there's something we don't know. Here's what you said, Monica. Yes. Go on. No matter how what?
Aggrieved.
Yeah. No matter how aggrieved and unhappy the Kenya government is, it must obey and adhere to court orders and switch on TV signal. As a constitutional democracy, that is simply not negotiable. That's what you said, Grand Mullah.
Yes, that's
what you said.
Yes,
it's not negotiable.
Absolutely. I mean,
and yet, 8 days later, Citizen is still in the dark.
I think the government must switch on Citizen. I mean, Citizen plays a very pivotal role in terms of communicating news, ideas, debating topical issues. I think there's really no reason, no matter what the transgression is. I don't think there's any reason why a government free, you know, a democracy like Kenya, because we are a democracy, like I should switch off a TV station.
You talked about draconian.
Yes.
Are we going back to those dark days, Mullah?
There's no way. You know, people say that we are going back to the old days of Kanu. It's impossible to go back to the old days because of the Constitution. I mean, the Constitution being the primary document that regulates everything in this country simply cannot allow us to go back. We can't go back because of the Constitution. It's not because of the benevolence of anybody, or it's not because of how powerful anybody is. It is simply not possible to go back to, you know, the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, yes. And yet some critics are saying Jubilee has gone rogue.
No, I don't think so. You see, I mean, these critics are NASA, you know, Jubilee's competitors, but we need to appreciate, you know, what's happening in this country. There are some things that are wrong that's happening in this country, but I think to say that we are going back to the 80s or 90s or Jubilee is taking us back to that is a little bit far-fetched.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take Miguna's example. Held for 5 days, shuttled literally across the country from Githunguri to Lari to Kajiado, and then on the way to Nairobi, divert straight to the airport, 5-hour wait, bundled onto a plane, deported. Was that right? No,
it wasn't right. I mean, that was wrong. Whatever Miguna has done, and I don't think he has done anything because he's not capable of doing, you know, anything grave to a state. I mean, he simply doesn't have that apart from abusing or shouting.
Yeah.
But, you know, abusing people, no matter how vile he is, or shouting loud, no matter how silly it is no justification for what befell Miguna. You know, the way he was treated, the way he was deported, all those are wrong in my view, and they should not happen in a democracy like Kenya. If he makes noise like he used to make noise, I mean, you shut your ears. You don't have to listen to his crap.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, the way you, I mean, what they did to Miguna was simply wrong, and it was not fair. And I think he will, at the right time, he will have proper legal redress in our courts.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about the talk that he's not Kenyan? He's Canadian.
You know, that's another silly thing. I mean, Miguna, First, the law allows for dual nationality.
Right.
But you know, the mere fact that you are born Kenyan, nobody can take that right from you. I mean.
But what if you, because before the 2010 referendum and constitution, he renounced his Kenyan citizenship and took on Canadian citizenship. So he didn't manage to reapply for Kenyan citizenship after he came back.
You know, those are small technicalities. I mean, the bottom line is having been born a Kenyan national, there's no way you can take away his citizenship. Yes, bottom line, eh? The issue of procedures, renouncing, those are small procedures.
Yeah.
Bottom line, nationality by birth cannot be taken.
Okay, do you think Jubilee was being petty when they did what they did?
I think petty and ill-advised, in my view.
Okay, ill-advised, but you are their lawyer, or you were in the petition.
I'm not their lawyer. I'm not Jubilee's lawyer. I've not been given that brief. If I'm ready. If someone seeks my advice, I will advise. But these are small things, you know. These are very petty issues, in my view. I mean, these are things that should not even preoccupy this country for all these 5 days.
And when he gets back,
a mistake was done. It was a silly mistake. It was very unnecessary. But let's move on.
And when he gets back to Canada, he's going to get a lot of mileage from this, isn't he?
No, nobody. No. What mileage will he get in Canada? He tried to practice law there. It didn't work. I mean, who will notice that he has even come back to Canada?
On Twitter, you know, they're saying there's going to be a grand reception to welcome him.
Who will welcome him now? Who will welcome him in Toronto? In all seriousness, I mean, Toronto, during this time, you know, it's -17, eh?
Yes.
Who will come to give Miguna a grand reception? He's nobody in Canada. He's nobody in Kenya. You know, he's a big mouth, that's all. If he's welcomed by his family, of course his family welcome, but I don't think anybody will give him a grand reception.
So you think, is this story going to end, or, you know, how does he fight it in court here?
No, he can fight in Kenya. I mean, he will instruct lawyers. I mean, all those things will be challenged.
He says he has a battery of lawyers.
He has. I mean, there are many lawyers in this country that do a good job. So he will get a good lawyer who will fight.
You think he'll be allowed back?
I think so, yes. I think the court will allow him to come back to country.
Okay, how does he come back and he doesn't have a Kenyan passport? Does he get a visa at the airport? How does that work? If it were, you know, legally?
I mean, he can sneak through the borders, you know, like they do. He can come through Namanga or Busia. Or even take a boat and come through Kisumu, you know. Take a boat in Jinja, then disembark in Kisumu.
There's a tweet you put out about Miguna. Oh, yeah, here we go. He said, I don't know how much a KLM economy ticket Nairobi-Toronto costs, but the officer who deported Miguna and paid for his ticket should be surcharged for such a poor decision. Why waste public funds for deporting Miguna?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I mean, the whole Miguna circus was so unnecessary that even that ticket, I think maybe it's 80,000 or 60,000, was a waste of public funds. Yes, absolute waste of public funds. Why do you spend money and resources to deport Miguna? To achieve what? What has he done? Nothing. Yes.
Look, you seem to be speaking very objectively. Why don't you advise Jubilee, since you're considered close to them? Why don't you advise them, Grand Mullah? They need advice.
No, Jubilee is doing well. I mean, they're doing fine.
They're not doing fine.
You know, I mean, deporting Miguna, it's wrong, but, you know, it doesn't take much from, you know, the usual, the locomotive of history, where they're going, you know, if I may borrow Lenin's statement. So they're going in the right direction. These are mistakes they make here and there. They will correct it and the country will move on.
Okay.
Yes.
On this other side, the IG and the police, DCI boss, disregarding court orders. What does that say about this administration gone rogue?
No, but you see, the biggest culprit in destroying the courts and the court orders are the courts themselves. I'm a lawyer. I practice law. Whenever we try to enforce court orders, it's the courts that make excuse for the other party. It's the courts that refuse to enforce court orders. But only because these matters are on TV, you know, they behave like Judge Judy. Theatrics, you know. When a judge hears he's live on TV, he wants to give all kind of orders to give the impression that he's a judge who likes to enforce orders. But when the cameras are switched off, it is the judge himself who will refuse to enforce court orders. And that's one of the biggest frustration courtroom lawyers have in this country. I will give you an example. Last year, when the Supreme Court was listening to the Presidential Supreme Court, the court gave an order of servers to be opened. IEBC did not comply with that order. Instead of the Supreme Court now jailing or saying that, you know, IEBC chairman did not do this or IEBC did not do this, and we sanction like that, what did they do? They said Uhuru's result is nullified. Escapism, you know. If the court is serious about enforcing court orders, they need to jail people. They need to jail those who have disobeyed. Court orders are disobeyed every day. Have you ever heard of a single person who has been jailed for disobeying a court order?
No.
No. So what is this nonsense they are telling us now? Because it's nonsense for the court to say that, oh, we want to enforce our orders. For 50, 60 years, they have refused to enforce their own orders.
So should IG Boynet and Kinoti, should they be in jail for contempt of court?
I don't know. I mean, it's the lawyers for Miguna who should make that move. It's for them. It's for the court to decide. I will not prejudge that issue. But
what we want, the court order.
What we want is courts that enforce their orders, whether the court is live on TV or the cameras in the courtroom are switched off. Yes. Judge Judy and her theatrics have no role in this country.
But the bottom line is, Boynet, Kinoti refused to show up.
No, you don't have to come in person. The law is you can send a lawyer. I mean, the law, you don't have to be there in person. They have sent their lawyers. So they have come to court.
Yeah.
Yes.
But is Jubilee ignoring, is the executive ignoring the judiciary?
No. The executive cannot afford first to ignore the judiciary because they have a symbiotic relationship. But also, the judiciary cannot be ignored if it's an effective judiciary. I saw the Chief Justice, you know, issuing a statement today, completely unnecessary in my view, because he is stating the obvious. As a Chief Justice, you know, you don't have to state the obvious, because if he wants the court orders to be enforced, the Chief Justice knows how those orders are enforced. Issuing statements, two-page statements, you know, high-sounding, very nice in my view.
Yeah.
Doesn't help. Let the courts punish those who disobey their orders.
Okay, there's a question or critique about double standards when it comes to, let's say, NASA, for instance. In Miguna's case, NASA is quick to jump on the court side. But when it came to the presidential petition, they didn't want to comply with the court's orders. Why are the double standards?
Not actually, not the double. The biggest problem facing this country is very immature opposition. I mean, NASA is very immature. I mean, they're not, you know, the politics they play is very unhelpful. You know, constant agitation, constant demonstration, constant, you know, snipping at the government. I mean, this, what do they call it? Electoral justice. You know, electoral justice that applies only to one office. They're not complaining about the MCAs. Everybody is happy with the MCA elections. Yeah. Everybody is happy with the MPs elections. All the other seats. But there's only one seat they're saying that they need electoral justice. So we need mature politics in this country. And it's unfortunate that, you know, NASA is not playing that role. For example, when they swearing in ceremony, how can any politician worth his salt come organize a rally and says, I'm swearing myself as the people's president? It's so childish. I mean,
you tweeted a lot about that.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Next day he will swear himself as the people's Chief Justice.
And yet it went ahead.
Yes, but it shows how immature the politics of the opposition is. I mean, the whole world really laughed at him. It's only the, you know, Jubilee or the government that messed it up. And, you know, thought that this man is doing something. Everybody, if you read the New York Times, the Washington Post, the British newspapers, they were saying, you know, I mean, how can a politician do a mock swearing in ceremony?
That's what they called it, a mock swearing in.
Yes, it was a mock. or a publicity stunt. I think one of the newspapers said it.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, the whole world laughed at it. It was so cheap that nobody. But you know, I mean, the Kenyan government overreacted, and that was uncalled for in my view. Yes.
What should they have done?
Ignore completely. You know, completely.
Let them go ahead.
Of course, they have gone ahead, but you know, there was no need to arrest people who have participated in that circus, because it was a circus. It was, you know, it was an entertainment. Yes, and the mistake I think the press made was you covered it as a news item. If you would have covered as an entertainment, nobody will have shut you.
That's why we were shut down. But tell me something. 2 of the other stations were put back on air after 7 days. We still remain off air, us and our sister station in Oro TV.
And I think you must be put back. I mean, I mean, Citizen is such an important TV. I think you're older than all the other TVs.
Yes.
You are bigger also than the other TVs.
Yes, much bigger.
Your programs are more interesting than the others. So I think you must be put back, you know.
But why the Madarao, for lack of a better word? Why the Madarao?
You know, I don't speak for them, but I think it's just a matter of time. Inshallah, tomorrow you will be on TV. You will be on air.
Yeah, we always keep saying tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Back to the swearing in. So, what happens next for them?
I mean, why don't you ask Raila what he will do next? Because my feeling, and it's an informed guess, is that probably he will swear himself for another seat.
Other than the presidency. By the way, NASA has called for a presidential election in August. In August, according to David Ndii, the chief strategist. How?
Let them call. I mean, you know, there's no harm in calling for what you think is in your best interest.
Yeah, but what does that do to the country?
The next election is 2022.
But it puts the country in campaign mode.
But this is what I tell you. I mean, this is the mature politics I talk about, you know. You know, when you have a party like NASA that constantly, you know, agitates, you know, constantly. I mean, it's not good for the country. I mean, I saw Kalonzo saying that he wants also to be sworn as the deputy president,
yes,
the people's deputy president.
Yes.
And I put a tweet. I said, you know, Raila wants to be sworn for a position he never held. That's the position of the president.
Yes.
And it shows ambition, you know, because he's aspiring for something that has eluded him for the time being. Now, Kalonzo has held the substantive deputy president. So why does he want to swear himself as the deputy people's president when previously he has been the vice president of this country?
Yes.
Yes. There's no ambition there.
Why do you think he didn't show up?
No, he knows it's a circus. You know, he's not saying, but he will never be sworn. He will never be sworn.
So it was deliberate?
Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind.
That he didn't want to be a part of the circus, is that it?
Absolutely. At least he knows some things, you know, give him credit. I mean, I think he did the right thing, you know, to skip it. And even next time he will, I think today's statement he said is that we have to put our house in order.
Yes, or DM has to put its house in order.
Yes, he must be first, I mean, he must be, you know, he must be given guarantee that he's running candidate in 2022 for him to be sworn in.
And the same thing with Mudavadi and Wetangula? Same thing? Did they see this?
You see that the problem with the Jubilee is that when NASA, when that ceremony sort of fizzled out, I mean, the signs were there that NASA was disintegrating. And you see, that is, you know, the soap opera the government should have allowed to play on. Instead of switching off the TVs, instead of deporting, we should have watched, you know, from distance, the implosion of NASA. Because it was imploded. It has imploded, but we didn't have a good opportunity to see, you know, picking up the pieces and all this.
Now it's been given a bit of a lifeline.
No, it's not possible to give it a lifeline, but destruction. We are seeing other things that are not necessary.
Will these three stay with Raila, or will Raila go it alone going forward? Will Kalonzo stay? Will Mudavadi stay? Will Wetangula stay?
You know, the Kenyan politics is very difficult to predict, especially opposition politics.
Yeah.
But I think everybody is on his own now, you know. Raila is on his own, Mudavadi will be on his own, Kalonzo will be on his own. The guy who's laughing very loud is the deputy president. Very loud.
Tell me why.
I mean, he has no opponent in 2022. I don't know what will happen
Between
but from now on. I mean, if you look at the scene,
yeah.
he will crush these guys so badly if his coalition holds.
Yeah.
I mean, he will have a ball.
Will his coalition hold?
Yes, I think it will hold. There's a good chance it will hold.
Yeah. Raila the other day saying Ruto cannot win 2022 without me. What did he mean by that?
Nothing really. I mean, Ruto doesn't need Raila. Ruto has his own camp. If he keeps his coalition, he will do very well. Very well.
It's his to lose.
Absolutely.
Gideon?
I think my silence speaks a lot.
Okay. Will Raila run in 22?
Yeah, yes, I think so.
He will?
Absolutely.
A fifth or sixth time?
Yes, I mean, he will run and run. And if he runs, I can tell you one thing. He will say his votes were stolen.
Will Kalonzo run?
He must run. I mean,
he's not going to be the bridesmaid again?
Because how many cycles of election will he be skipping if he doesn't run? It will be the third time. Yes, it will be the third time. He's not running. So he can't afford. He must run. He must run. Otherwise, people will forget him. So he must run.
And he can't be a bridesmaid again?
No, he can't. He's a little bit too old for that now.
Mudavadi?
He must also run, I mean, this is... All of them must run this time. They can't, this is a cycle. The 2022 election is a cycle that nobody can afford to sit out. All of them will run.
What does that do to the Nassarites?
I mean, they will all run in their own different... Everybody will retreat to his party, Everybody has, ANC, Fort Kenya, Wiper, ODM. So they will all run.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about that?
It was a marriage of, it's a marriage of convenience.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't something that was solid, either ideologically or politically.
Yeah.
So now that they have failed to capture the seat they wanted, they will disintegrate.
Don't forget the man they call the Sultan, Mombasa's Ali Hassan Joho.
Yes.
He said he wants to run.
Yes, Sultan is a good candidate, but I think he needs... I mean, he needs a good partner, a strong partner. And I will have advised him to run as a deputy president, because if he gets a solid candidate, young like him, not old man, not like, he should not run with his grandfather, If he runs with a young man like him, I mean, he has a lot of things going for him. I mean, he's very popular with certain age group.
Yeah.
He's very popular in the coast. If you go to Mombasa, you will notice.
He's got the gift of the gab.
Very popular among the Muslim community. So there's a lot of things that's going for him.
So you think he has a good chance if he's a running mate?
Yes.
To someone?
No, let's say he has a bright future. Yes.
There's a picture of you and Sultan. Are you close? Are you tight?
Yes, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah? Good guy.
Very good.
And he's done well for Mombasa, by the way, yeah?
He has done well. He could have done better, but
but
I think he has been having a lot of fight with the government. If he had a more cordial relationship, I think he will have done much better.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he answers only to Baba.
Yes, that's... I don't think... people don't understand. I think Baba answered to him, if you ask me.
All right.
There's more Baba wants from him than the Sultan wants from Baba.
The president, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, is badly looking for a legacy. Badly. And he's got 5 years, less than 5 years, to get a legacy. Will he get a legacy? And with all the distractions and the side shows and the shenanigans, will he secure a legacy?
Well, it depends. He has set a 4-pillar agenda. I don't know, healthcare, housing,
infrastructure.
Those. And if you look at the editorial of the Nairobi Law Monthly, which I wrote, I told him that those 4 pillars will go to waste if you don't add a 5th, and that's law and order. Uhuru must get right the governance issue. he must get it right how to fight corruption, how to have law and order. If you don't have that, healthcare will go nowhere. I mean, the foundation, he must lay the foundation, which is law and order. That if you steal 1 penny, you'll be arrested, you will be tried within that period, and you will be convicted or acquitted. The tragedy of this country is, and I say this so many times, if you look at our history, the last 50 years, not a single rich Kenyan who stole public money has been arrested, tried, and convicted. Hakuna. So how can a country that doesn't prosecute those who steal from it survive? You can't survive.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a waste of time. If you say, I want to do infrastructure, okay, you do infrastructure, but I mean, 30-40% of the road budget will be stolen.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys who do road network in Kenya are the richest, and nobody questions them, you know. Yes. Nobody. And what they have, you know, is mine and your money.
Correct.
Yes.
In the meantime, that fee for that road or for that rail climbs exponentially.
Yes, yes, yes. So Uhuru can leave legacy, but my view is that let him start with law and order, the governance factor. What happens if you steal government? Those who are, I mean, for example, Uhuru was in power for 5 years. Those guys who stole money during the last 5 years, has he done anything?
No.
No, he hasn't. So these 5 years, if he wants to achieve a legacy, you know, I mean, how can this country continue when people steal public funds and nothing happens to them?
Look, if he was watching you on View Sasa, which we hope he is, would you tell him to ignore the opposition?
No, absolutely. You know, Uhuru does not need, Uhuru should have no time for NASA, in my view. I mean, NASA, we had 2 elections last year.
2.
Both of them he won fairly, in my view, and the view of many Kenyans. He has a thumping mandate from the Kenyan public. Let him go to work. Whether the Muguna or some characters of his ilk make noise should not bother him. Let him deliver the mandate, you know, he asked Kenyans to vote him on.
Yeah.
And let him start work.
And when you see his government revoking the passports of key NASA leaders, does that make sense?
No, but I think I don't think these are Uhuru's decisions. There must be some people who are making those decisions.
Without his acknowledgement or knowledge?
Maybe he's informed after the event, But those are guys you should fire, in my view. You know, a person who makes a decision that, for example, the passport of Sultan or Jimish Orengo should be revoked. That's a stupid man who does not deserve to be in government. Because, you know, that era of revoking people's passport is long gone. I mean, travel document is such a basic constitutional right, and it's in our constitution.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Very dumb.
But silly, yes.
Speaking of silly, Jimmy Wanjigi's so-called death announcement in a leading paper. Graham Mulag, help me out here.
But that's why televisions have been shut in this country. I'm not saying the nation should be shut, but you know, the rights. I mean, how can a mistake like that occur? Or when they referred to me, I took a lot of issue. They said a government supporter. I'm not a government supporter. I mean, I'm a critic. I say what I want.
Yes.
But I don't. You know, I mean, when they put an advertisement like that, and I don't think it was a mistake.
No.
No. The top people in the nation must have known that that was happening.
And heads have to roll, right? Because if you do that on page 49 of a paper, and people are reading your obituary, and you are reading your obituary and you're still alive.
But I mean, you know, it shows how the standard of journalism has fallen in this country. I mean, how can the nation, you know, it's the largest circulation newspaper in East and Central Africa.
Yes.
I mean, how can they make that mistake? It wasn't a mistake. And then someone must have paid it for.
And yet, this being Kenya, no heads will roll.
Yes, and the good thing is Jim is still alive, I think. Yes. I don't know why they want, or I don't know why they're wishing him death. But I mean, I think in my view, that's unforgivable, really. Even from, a humane point of view, reading the newspapers, seeing that there's your obituary there.
But as a lawyer or as a Kenyan, what would be in the intention for something like that? What's the intention? Are you sending a warning to Jimmy? What would be the intention?
I think
Scare tactic?
Absolutely, I think so. Yes. Someone must be sending him a message that very soon people will read the announcement of your death in this newspaper. But I mean, that's scary. But I think the nation really is something they should be so ashamed of, I mean, they should take responsibility. I hope they will do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, at the same time, Babu Owino, MP for Embakasi East, he was calling Matiang'i Marehemu.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah.
I mean,
is it tit for tat?
No, it is, the immature politics I was talking about, These young people who get seats because, I don't want to use the word licking, but but the way you come to Kenyan politics is so easy. You become a charlatan for a leader.
Yeah.
You beat his drums of war for 3-4 years. You get the party nomination, then you become a leader. And that's why, we have people like Babu Owino saying what they're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not acceptable in this country. But you see, I've said this, when people break the law, there must be consequence for that.
Yes.
You just don't arrest them, you prosecute them. And when you are prosecuting them, as a prosecutor, you must get conviction. You must put people in jail. When you put people in jail, then you change the pattern of behavior of politicians. I mean, look at Kenya. You arrest a politician very dramatically. He is taken to court. He is given bail. That's the end of the story.
Yeah.
Yes.
It dies.
It dies.
And that's it.
That's it. But we have not heard of a politician who was arrested, prosecuted, and jailed. The moment you jail a politician, then everybody will take notice that things have changed. Yes.
But that's not going to happen, is it?
No, I hope it happens. I mean, we are now recruiting a new DPP.
Yes.
And I hope they get a good person.
Yes. And the one who is there is off to be vetted as a CS for environment.
Yes.
What do you think?
Just one more job for the boys. Nothing else.
You think he'll pass muster? Will he pass the vetting?
No, I think he will pass because Jubilee, he's a Jubilee candidate. Yes. And the Jubilee has a super majority. But you see, when you are given a job, when you give someone a job, you need to ask him, how did he perform in the last job? Yes. Because it's always your last job that's the interview for your next job.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, I mean, Uhuru has given jobs to people who have failed so badly.
Miserably.
In their last job.
Miserably.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think I said many times, he rules with his heart, not with his head. That's why, someone who scores like 0 out of the last year, if she was a minister or he was a minister, you do a performance test, then he or she scores 0 out of 100.
Yeah.
Then she's given another job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fair.
Or he becomes an ambassador somewhere.
Yes, yes. It's not fair. It's not fair. Because there are so many competent Kenyans. There are more even, leave alone NASA or other Kenyans, there are so many Jubilee competent people. Why don't you give job to a competent Jubilee instead of giving job to an incompetent Jubilee? Okay?
That's because of these advisors around him. But he needs to now step up, doesn't he?
No, advisors, also, I mean, those are things he can see for himself, I mean, if you remove someone from a job and say that you are not competent to do this job.
Yeah, go home.
Go home, send him home. Don't give him another job because that's a waste of time.
What about the other list of cabinet nominees, cabinet secretary nominees? What do you think of it overall?
They're good. Average maybe C or something like that. I mean,
are they enough to drive this agenda, this legacy?
I don't think so. He must drive it himself first. It's him to drive, but he can't drive everything. He must have competent assistants to do. But unfortunately, I don't think he has picked the right people to do the job.
Which is sad, isn't it?
Of course it is.
In the meantime, what does he and his deputy have to do these next 5 years to secure that? What do they have to do?
No, the agenda he set for himself, the 4 pillars are very good in my view. I mean, those are very transformative agenda. You know, he wants to change the country. But, you know, you must have people who will change the country with you. Guys who will, you know, workers, you know, hard workers. Then fix law and order. Fix the, you know, this, I mean, if I ask you, do you obey traffic rules 100%? You?
No.
I don't. This is only, traffic rules are the most mundane rules for a human being. If you can't obey traffic rules, there is no other law you can obey.
And yet we break them all the time.
Because it's red, it tells you red.
Yeah.
Then we break it every. If you can't obey traffic rules, and 99% of Kenyans don't obey traffic rules, how can they obey the other rules like don't steal public money, don't award contracts to your relatives, don't, how? They can't. Because traffic rules is the most simple of rules. Even animals, you know, if you train a dog, he can observe when it's ready, he will stop.
When it's time to sit, he sits.
So, and even that, even when we break those simple rules, nobody's prosecuted.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what's the future then, Grand Mullah? What's the future?
Unfortunately, we will continue with this mediocrity, you know, this is our life, you know, complaining on TV like this.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. A new government comes, it's the same.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, we are on this conveyor belt of mediocrity. Yes.
Oh,
that's Kenya for you.
Yes.
Yes.
But, I mean, God, I mean, do we get what we deserve? Is that what it is?
I think we get what we deserve because, you see, the only time this country will change is when me, you, and everybody who's watching us as a voter says that, no, I'm making a conscious decision. I will not vote for X because of that. Until we make that decision, this country will not change.
And that's not going to happen anytime soon?
No.
Forget it.
No. It will not. I mean, if we tell 10 guys from Mpakasi who voted Babu Owino and ask him, why did you vote for Babu Owino? What will they tell us? You know, 10 out of 10 they will say, because Baba told us to vote for him. Yes. The same with the Gatundu MP.
Yeah.
Yes. So, how can you complain? Because you are not even in control of your vote. You are not in control of your destiny. You know, somebody else is deciding it for you. Huh. I mean, the MCAs we elect every day in our local. Do we have They don't even live in our neighborhoods. You know?
Yeah. We don't even know who they are.
Yes. We don't know. Some of the MPs don't live in our hoods, you know. And we still elect them, and then he says, you know, you don't meet your MP. You don't know him.
Yeah.
Yes.
LSK.
Yes.
They say you are the Grand Mullah of the LSK, the controller. Who gets in, who doesn't get in. Is it true?
No. You know, LSK is a very progressive society. That's what I tell guys. I mean, it's a society that's I'm proud to be a member of. Very progressive. It has played its role in many struggles.
But they say you're the fixer.
No, let me first finish. I mean, it has come through various phases.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times when we had very good chairman. There's a time we have very weak chairman. We have sometimes when we have a very mediocre chairman. So it goes ebb and flows. We have an elections very soon. And they're very good candidates, you know, who are running for chair. And I'm sure the members will elect a competent chairman who will take us to the next step.
And what's the story about the chairman has to have what? Is it 15 years experience?
Yes.
How? I mean, that means that you're an old man by the time you're running for chairman.
No. We are 12,000 members. And those guys who are 15 years and above are about 6,000. So there's 6,000 members who can run for chairman. Yes, but I mean, it's like, I mean, there are qualifications everywhere in the world. I mean, you must have a degree to be a governor. You must have, you must be of a certain age to run for certain offices. I mean, you must have 15 years experience to run for Chief Justice. So qualification is there. It's a requirement anywhere in the world. It's not something peculiar to the law side. But I tell guys, if you are not qualified to be chairman, there are many other positions. You can be council member. You can go to the disciplinary. There are so many.
Yeah, not everyone can be president.
Yes, not everybody can be president.
And why is this man called Nelson Harvey, who I'm not a particular fan of because he's always abusing me, but they say you played a pivotal role for him not to run as chairman?
No, but I mean, you are not fair to me because I don't have 1 minute. I can't spare 1 minute to concentrate that 1 minute, to spend that minute on Harvey. It will be such a waste of 1 minute. Yes. That 1 minute can be used for something better than to see whether Harvey can run for office. He was my student. I taught him when he was a student.
Was he a good student?
Yes, he was a good student. Yes.
Zero chills from the Grand Mullah.
No, but the society, it's a good society. We always need the voice of the society on these issues, and I'm glad that we always hear it. And I think when the members go to the poll this month, we will elect good members, Yes.
There's a good team out there.
There's a good team. They're good candidates.
Good crop.
Very, very good.
Yeah. So are you the fixer?
No. There's nothing to fix. How do you fix it? The law society? The law society election is incapable of being fixed, It's a one man, one vote. So it depends. You go and say, if I'm a fixer, I lost the election last time when I was running for JC. Everybody's regretting why they have not elected me, but but I tell them, you have elected someone. When you have issues, go to him.
Don't come to me.
Don't come to me. And ask him what he has done for you the last 5 years when he was representing you in the JC.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Grand Mullah, enough of the tough questions. I got to ask you this, man. You roll with Brioni suits, Rolex watches, Bentley SUVs. How do you do it, man?
I don't have a Bentley.
You do have a there's a picture. There you go. This is the G-Wagon. That's the G-Wagon. This one is beautiful. Where'd you look at you? Where'd you get all this, man? How'd you do it?
You have the same. You have a Rolex watch, you have a Brioni, you have a G-Wagon.
I'm trying to be like you, but
No, it's me who wants to be like you.
Yeah, the petition must have been very good for you.
No, always acting for a president is, it's a privilege, and we really enjoyed it.
Yeah. But the first time around, you were hammered, weren't you?
No, we were not hammered. And if you ask the president who was our client, he will tell you that we were not hammered. The court, I said it, I repeat it. I'm more convinced than I was that the court reached a political decision, just, spiteful in my view. There was no legal basis. But the good thing is, if you repeat the elections 5, 6 times, Uhuru will still win, because I've said it. Because I do my own small, I'm a pollster, I do some polls before elections.
Yes.
It's mathematically impossible for Raila to win an election, a presidential election in Kenya. It's mathematically not possible. When you look at the voter registration in the 47 counties in Kenya, it's not possible. Yes.
And yet he still claims it was rigged, it was robbed, it was stolen.
No, but what else do you want him to say? Do you want him just to disappear into the dark night? Only a brave man can do that, and I don't think he's that brave. That's why he always says that. Let's not go there, but mathematically, it's impossible for Raila to win a presidential election against Uhuru, even if we do it 100 times. Yes. Not possible. And that's why during the repeat, if Raila will have participated in the repeat, the gap will have gone to 2-point-something million.
Serious?
Absolutely. And everybody knew that. That's why they chickened out.
And yet he wants to run again.
Yes, he will run again. But this time, if he runs against Ruto, the gap will be 3-point-something. Or even 4, because, the Nassir coalition may not be there.
Yeah.
But you see, I think, this country is exciting. This is a good country. The only problem we have in this country is immature politics, especially by the opposition, endless agitation. How can they say we want an election in August?
6 months.
But if they were given an election in August, they will be beaten so badly. It will be murder.
And yet this country again is always in a constant state of electioneering, of campaigning. Like politics is our bread and butter, our gospel, our religion. Why?
Yes, it's our politics. What do we do? But I think we need to work. We have our elections. we forget about our elections, we go to work, we till our farms, we open our shops, we run our TV stations.
When they're not switched off?
When they're not switched off. I mean, you're always on air. It's only 6-7 days you are off air. And I think that will be corrected. But I think the point is that we need to work as a country, you know. We can't have this agitation, this demonstration, you know, this agitation, this, all these things. When the screen flicked, I thought you have been switched off.
Can you imagine? We'd have to repeat this show. Bottom line, if the president who listens to you, I'm sure, you know, you can pick up the phone and you call him. And he does listen to you, Grand Mullah. If you were to advise him today on 2-3 things going forward, what would they be?
I think the first one I would have told him is that you have a mandate of the people of Kenya. Ignore, you know, this opposition. Do your work. Implement your 4 agenda. Add a 5th one, law and order. And I think he will establish his legacy. I'm confident.
He could do it in these 5 years?
Yes. There's a lot. I mean, 5 years is a long time, you know. I mean, there's a lot of time. I mean, he has a lot of energy, you know. Him and his deputy, they can do a lot of things.
When you talk to him, does he listen?
The few times I talked to him, it was on the law, and he listens.
And other things?
Other things, few things, but that's private, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bottom line, you have a minute or so to go. Going forward, this nation of ours, and we've painted, you know, for the most part, a pretty grim picture, because we are a nation that's always, you know, it's going round and round in circles, and we're spiraling.
But I tell guys, I mean, the future of this country is very bright. Leave alone these politicians, you know, who make noise, who make demonstrations, who carry these ceremonies. But, you know, the average Kenyan is very hardworking. Look at the guys who work for you. Very hardworking. I mean, guys who leave very early in the morning to come to job. And they do that everywhere, in every office. You know, people who, at the end of the month, you know, the salary they earn, they really deserve. I mean, the private sector is very vibrant in this country. It's only some things like, you know, law and order for me is very important. How the courts function. You know, these courts that make so much noise about court orders. I mean, they have become the den of corruption the last 2-3 years. Yeah. I mean, and it's a disappointment because we have tried all kinds of things, from radical surgery to vetting, and they are unable to change. It's a cultural thing, I tell guys. Yeah. But, you know, if we fix the courts, if we fix the police, if we fix those who, if we prosecute those who break the law, this country will go very far, very far. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the public sector that needs to be fixed.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Grand Mullah, always a pleasure.
Thank you very much, and I hope tomorrow you will be back in there.
Please,
yes.
talk to somebody, huh? Talk to the boss.
You know, I charge fees if I do that.
I forgot. That's right. There's no pro bono stuff.
Not for you.
The Grand Mullah. That is why he is the Grand Mullah. Publisher, media owner, and yes, of course, senior counsel. Add a new one. Advisor to the president. That's the Grand Mullah right here. Thanks so much for being a part of JK Live. Remember, if it's Wednesday, it's all about those 3 letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Even now, on Viewsasa and on YouTube. Keep spreading the word. This is Citizen Television. Good night. Good luck. God bless.